Okay, everyone, to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have another Grand Seiko review for you, and this one really knocked my socks off. Really just, I had expectations for this watch, and I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good. So I do have to thank the team over at Belmont Watches in San Diego for being able to provide me this piece on loan. It actually just sold, so I'm hurrying through my video review, and by the time you guys see this, it'll already be gone, but definitely check the links below to see what current stock availability is. I think this is a really winning model, and whether you buy it from a dealer, you buy it used, you buy it new, however you do that, I think you're really going to enjoy this piece. A little bit about the brand. Seiko was founded back in 1881. They're Japanese in origin and now have factories throughout Asia. They cover all market segments from entry level to high end, and this is an example of their high end division, Grand Seiko, which was founded back in 1960. Now, in terms of the type of watch, I consider this kind of an everyday adventure watch. You're going to want something that's clean, classic, and obviously ready to stand up to the elements. It's also a traveler's watch. This is the Grand Seiko SBGM247. It's part of their sports collection, and it's essentially just a sporty GMT ready for travel and adventure, built to stand up to any environment with 20 bar of water resistance. Yes, 20 bar, so 200 meters of water resistance. You're getting everything fully in-house, a true traveler's GMT with an independently adjustable hour hand. So it really has it all, and I'm blown away by this piece. So with all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, so these brand new from Grand Seiko go for $5,700 MSRP, but this one sold for $3,900 at Belmont Watches. So just amazing deal, box papers, links, all of that. I'm pretty sad because honestly, I want one of these now. I might even want a green dial. I think initially I was kind of set on the blue. But this green dial is really, really special. I'm not super big into green dials or the color green at all. Maybe it's because I was in the Marine Corps too long and I was forced to wear olive drab too often. But, this color way doesn't normally speak to me. But I have to say, within this combination, I find it absolutely versatile. So a little bit about the dimensions now. And these are all measurements from my calipers, so they might vary slightly from what you're going to find online. So 40.3 millimeter diameter if I was to measure basically the 9 o'clock to the 3 o'clock position. 40.5 millimeters thick, including the crystal, which I believe it comes in a little bit thinner on their measurements, and then 48.5 lug to lug, and then everything is brushed and polished, of course the Zaratsu polishing that you would expect. Let me give it a quick wipe off camera here, just because this thing is impressive, guys. Like, there's just more to it than I feel like typically you get from pictures, and that's the typical story for Grand Seiko. And even the thickness, some of you might be looking at this saying, oh wow, that's really thick, but I will say again, Seiko tricks, they do these things. They made the 42 millimeter SKX such a cult classic, because they did little tricks like this rounding and this undercut on the beveling there, where it just gets smaller at the part that actually meets your wrist. And then because of the high polish there, of course it's going to reflect the space of your wrist. So this one wore really, really well. They didn't have all of the links in it, so I had to extend it out, but it just goes to show cool feature of this great sporty clasp with manual micro adjusts. So you do have extra length there, which worked out for me. So to whoever bought this, though, they're going to get the extra links that are still in the box. But this one, again, just really caught me by surprise. You do have a dual curve sapphire, so you're going to have Very nice legibility even at very harsh angles there. If it was just a single curve on the outside and it wasn't curved on the other side, then it would cause a good amount of distortion at angle. But you can see here, just still quite immaculate, my goodness. And you're getting a nice inner AR coating, so it's going to negotiate reflections really well, and it's not going to really have too much in the way of tinting or anything like that with that coating. It's going to be Seiko's typical super clear anti-reflective coat. Now the movement inside here is the automatic Grand Seiko caliber 9S66, which again is a traveler's or true GMT with an independently adjustable hour hand. It's regulated to +5, -3 seconds per day in terms of accuracy, has a 72-hour or 3-day power reserve, and is 4800 AM magnetic resistant. So really nice screw in, solid case back, gorgeous crest work done there. Still has a little sticker on there to protect, so I'm not pulling that off. And then we get into some of the details of this gorgeous dial. Ooh, let me just get it nice and close so you guys can really enjoy. Check that out. All right, so we're getting applied indices, of course, are beautifully polished, brushed, and faceted. Even does have some lume plops because this is a sports watch. It has that green sunray dial, which is gorgeous, and I'd say the tone of green, it kind of reminds me of the Alpinist, the old SARB 017, and that is a good thing because that again is a green that kind of took people by storm. So if you're not big into green dials, this is a green that I think you know, it has what it takes to earn your eye's attention, which is fantastic. It has these great kind of sporty-ized Dauphine hands that are brushed and polished and faceted, and you even get lume on the hour, minutes, and then also on the Traveler's GMT hand. You get 20mm lugs. Everything is solid, guys. You can see here. Solid links, solid end links, screw in links at that, and just the level of finish on here, I think, you know, as far as it being a standard 3-link, you know, on paper it doesn't really jump out at you, but when you get it in person and you see the micro beveling done, the finish work done so that there's no sharp edges, it's extremely impressive. And the nice thing is, at distance, it just looks, you know, it looks like a sports watch. It's very unassuming, flies under the radar, and then as you get in closer to it, just look at the level of finishing work done on each of these links. It's really stand out, and you can even see from the underside, these are actually 3 links. They're not etched or, you know, put together in some way that's going to make them look like 3 links. This is a full 3-link setup. It has, again, screw in links, which is what many people look for, and it's a great piece. I think for me, visually, one of the things that was kind of holding me back on paper was the date position. I have no problem with the crown being at 4 o'clock, but I felt like the date was a little bit odd. But honestly, having it in person, I don't mind it at all. It's one of those things where, like, it's okay to nitpick. It's like you look at a picture of the new Ferrari, you know, whatever new one is out, and you think about a grill or you think about the exhaust tip placement or something like that, and you're like, oh, that kind of puts me off. But then you see one in real life and you're like, oh, there's absolutely no reason that I shouldn't love this. And I have, you know, a similar sentiment here, to where, yes, on paper, maybe there are things you might remix and tweak and turn, but when you have it in the metal, it just speaks for itself, and it is very impressive. So with that said, let's go ahead, get this piece on the wrist, and see how it wears. Okay, guys, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, wears really beautifully. Even if I get up close here with some lens distortion, still doesn't really feel oversized. It just wraps and lays on the wrist really well, especially considering the thickness. And you know, this is as thick as the Black Bay Pro. but it doesn't have slab sides, so it wears that thickness really, really well. And honestly, in terms of a fit and finish perspective, this blows it absolutely out of the water. And then every other spec, in terms of everything else, I think it's completely competitive, if not exceeding, compared to the Black Bay Pro, which is a very similarly themed watch, and so many would kind of consider it as a bit of a kind of young man or a poor man's alternative to the Rolex Explorer 2. Here, it's a similar story. This is an amazing alternative, but I mean, I think this is actually more of a rival to Rolex, and it just honestly gives you a lot of options. Amazing price, $5,700. I mean, in this case, a very lucky buyer got it for under $4,000. This is amazing, guys. Absolutely outstanding. On the wrist, it just wears perfectly. The thickness, again, really well hidden due to Seiko's signature, very ergonomically friendly grammar of design. So those undercuts, and again, it has half links. It has this nice extended milled clasp with various micro adjustment holes. So you're going to be able to get this really fitted perfectly to your wrist. So very, very nice from that perspective. Also available in a blue dial variation, which is the one that I was kind of really researching, but again, this green one is really winning me over. But as you can see, again, it just wears fantastic. Not too tall by any means. It's a sporty watch. It has 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, it's steel. This thing is it does its duty, and it looks the part, so I can appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get it off the wrist, set up some loom shots, a little light transition, and get into some closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, very well lit, extremely well applied Lumibright loom, glowing that very bright green. It's not a dive watch, it's a traveler's watch. It's not a field watch. Again, it's just kind of that everyday watch, but I think it again hits that nice recipe where you are, you're getting something that it looks quite luxurious, is quite dressy, but it's a steel sports watch at its core. It's a tool watch. And that's where I think it really, knew its assignment, and it really nailed it. And yes, there's definitely some Rolex design language that's there. But, at the end of the day, there's a reason why there's longevity on these designs. It's because they're good. They're quite good. They're quite timeless. And there's been enough Japanese design language and execution that's been injected into this piece to where it's exciting. I mean, this is a beautiful piece. They didn't go with a standard black dial or anything like that. It's not, not that direct of a shot, but they do some great things. I'd love to see this in like a polar kind of white dial, maybe with some type of snowflake texturing in the future. That would be great. Might be a little bit too on the nose, but I'm looking forward to eventually, hopefully adding to the collection the blue dial with the red accents, because it's just a special piece. And when you get into these low light transitions, it's great to kind of get an idea of what these watches render like in less than optimal lighting, because you're not always going to be out in a field enjoying direct sunlight. Sometimes you're going to be in some harsher lighting conditions, as you see here, where you're getting higher contrast. And man, normally this would expose any defects within the finishing, but here it really highlights. Look at how uniform the light just glides over those links within the brushing. Look at the way that the dial plays with the light. Very nice high contrast dial, so you're going to be getting those streaks of the bright green, but it's typically going to be a very dark tone, which is great for legibility as well. And it does keep this very subdued in nature, so it's not super loud. It's really, again, very understated and handsome. So, I mean, we talked about how it wears, we talked about some of the model variations, and so I guess we could get into some comparable models, guys. This is definitely Grand Seiko's take on, they're taking on Rolex directly, and now even Tudor with one, with this one, and I think they absolutely nail it. For me, this is a Black Bay Pro killer. Like, there's no reason to get the Black Bay Pro over this watch, apart from, hey, maybe you like that brand better, or you maybe like the aesthetics better. But when it comes to the build quality, the fit and finish, this watch has it all. And it, to me, it looks and it should look less like an homage to the of course, to the Rolex Explorer, Explorer 2 watch. But in this case, it adds enough and injects enough of its own design language and its own lovely positives that it's hard to argue with. I mean, this piece really, again, it speaks for itself, and it's probably my favorite sporty Grand Seiko model, and it's absolutely on my long-term wish list now after handling this piece in the metal. And yeah, again, it's a Rolex Explorer rival. I think it's a Tudor killer, and I do think this does rival Rolex in terms of if you were to have the watches side by side, this is something very, very special, and it's available, which is crazy. Not only is it available, it is a little bit cheaper, and which is great, and probably more than a little bit when you start thinking about the Rolex market. So this thing, again, really outstanding. I'm glad I was able to share it with you. I was glad I was able to get up close and personal with this beautiful green dial, to continue to give it a chance to kind of win me over. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do it like. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.